Hey everyone, welcome to another session of Conversations with Courageous Cancer Warriors. And I am so excited for today's guest. We have a long history together. It's been a while since we've seen each other, so this is really exciting. I would love to introduce you to Dr. Jangouk, who is a dual board certified gastroenterologist and internal medicine physician. And you know what else? She's also a certified life and health coach. She has some great programs that are coming up. So if you haven't been following her, you definitely need to start. But Parastoo, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Lori. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited for this time and opportunity that we have. As you said, we go back a long time, and I'm so excited to see you now in a totally different capacity. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. So to kind of give the listeners a little backstory, we know each other from Yale University. We were both on staff there. And we just happened to be doing CrossFit New Haven, which was a couple of blocks away from the university and the hospital. And we just had some mutual friends and we kind of really hit it off, and we've been in touch ever since. And, you know, you have gone through some adversity, I kind of feel that we're in the same boat of the fact that you have this strong medical knowledge base, and then you go through something that you usually work people through. So you want to tell us a little bit about like what you've overcome to this point?
Yeah, sure. I think the way that we got reconnected, if you remember, was last year when I called you. I think I sent you, a message on Facebook, and I said, Lori, can I call you? And then you send me your cell phone number, and it's just, it's crazy. So I can't even think about that because it's almost a year. So, it's just, as you said, it's very hard. I got diagnosed with breast cancer last year. And as a physician, being a patient, I think it does have its own sort of like side of things. And it's really crazy because then you realize that being a patient, you face with the deficiencies of our healthcare system, which are tremendous, and I'm still dealing with them. And I think it gives you a different perspective for sure. And it's crazy the things that you go through as patients. And specifically, I think when you know, and when you know where to find information, that adds a layer of complexity. So if you remember, I was very stressed out, right? We just moved to a new town, and actually I got aware of my diagnosis on my last day in LA when we were leaving. On my last day of my previous job at UCLA, I got a call, and my insurance basically was expiring the day after, and we were hitting the road moving from California to Texas. So it was like what the heck is happening? What is going on? How can I deal with this? I don't have any insurance. Now we are going to this new town. I don't know anybody, and I'm not even starting, my job for a couple months. So there's going to be a gap. There was a lot of, I think, there was a lot of uncertainty, and that was adding to the whole complexity. It was during COVID. At the time, obviously, COVID is still going on, but I think that was last summer, was really bad in southern states. Probably, you were, I think, in Florida at the time. So a lot of things to deal with, and I think these diagnoses always come as a shock, right? You don't know. It's just overnight. You probably experience that yourself. You're good until you're not good. And there is just like a matter of seconds that your life changes forever.
Absolutely. And, you nailed it, because there's so many different layers of what you need to deal with when you're initially diagnosed, and also having the medical background. When we have conversations with people, I know I do, I usually filter it based on how much they want to know. Like I ask them, like, do you want me to tell you the good and the bad, or do you want me to tell you like how much information do you want? And I found that with myself, and I'm sure you find that this is true as well, that I couldn't filter. I knew what the best case scenario was going to be, and then I knew what the worst case scenario was going to be. And I found it really, really overwhelming, which, as you know, that's why I became a coach, right? So, and then you add the layer of complexity with not having insurance, moving to a new town where you know the hospital systems are good, but you don't know the person to target that you should make your physician, right? Which is a huge struggle for people. And then there's the emotional component that goes along with it that is sometimes difficult to talk about. And that's why I was so grateful that you reached out to me so I can be a support to you. And so now you've gone through this process. It's been a year. You're thriving now. I would love to hear about what you have, what you're up to now.
Yes, I think a lot has changed, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for you supporting me during that time, because also, just like I know it's just I'm going on tangents, but it's also, I think when you experience this, I think people react differently. I was holding it to myself, and I was not really telling anybody because I wasn't really sure what I'm dealing with. Breast cancer diagnosis takes, I think up to 2 months, because you have to go through different testing until you realize, what stage you're at, what's your treatment plan. You don't know until the very last minute, things change. And every day was a different day. It was a roller coaster. One day was good news, the other day was bad news. So a lot of ups and downs. And I was like, I can't tell people, and I didn't really know, who to talk to, and what do they do? What do people tell me? They say, oh, you're going to be fine, and I know that I may not be fine, right?
Yeah. Or my favorite, I'm sorry to interrupt, but my favorite is oh yeah, I had a cousin who, had that and then they passed away. I'm like, why are you telling me this? So I have to tell you that I kept my mouth shut for a year. I didn't tell anybody. There was a very small group of people that I just kind of went through the process before I started really sharing it, because I had a hard time dealing with my emotions around it. And like, I'm the person that's always strong for other people, right? I'm the person that people come to in my family. And my mom was breaking down, like you know what I mean? Like everybody was like breaking down around me. So I felt like I needed to be strong. And I'm like, I can't handle this right now. And now I'm worrying about your feelings. So it made me really cocoon into not sharing it with people. I made some people upset with me. But it wasn't anything else other than self-preservation, right? And you're right when you say people deal with it differently. Some people, share it on social media and they let everybody know, and people like us like kind of like, I need a second here to kind of figure it all out. And so then you've gone through all of this, and then you're left with okay, I'm cured, right? Like I've gone through all the process. They're telling me I'm good. So what was next for you?
So, Lori, it's very interesting. I think I remember when we were talking, so you were one of the handful of people I was talking at the time, and you told me something that stuck with me. You said that you're going to come out of it differently, right? And I think I really, at that point, I was just like, what the heck? What is that? I don't want that, right? But I think I now, in retrospect, I truly believe in that. I think that, I don't know, there's something, maybe some woo-woo thing, or, people saying, oh, okay, so you're a physician, why do you say these things? But I really truly believe in some things that this should have happened. So this was a part of that. I know it may be selfish because we were lucky to get out of it differently, and we were lucky to survive this. And there are people who don't, I want to really acknowledge that there are people who don't have this chance and opportunity. And I understand. So I don't want to come out as an arrogant or just like unrealistic person. But what, I think this affected my life in such a way that now everything I do in my life revolves around that. And I think I found a different purpose different perspective, looking at life, what I want from life, and how I want really to spend remainder of my life, how I want to serve people and help people. You know, I'm a physician. I'm always helping people. I'm always, you know, saving lives. But I think what it basically opened my eyes to is that I really have a bigger purpose. You know, I want to help more people in a more meaningful way. And that's how I think it just like helped me see how I want to help people to prevent from, you know, prevent becoming sick. Because as a physician, I'm, you know, at the bottom, I'm at the end of, you know, sort of like people come to me, I diagnose them with colon cancer, you know, I diagnose them with rectal cancer, stomach cancer. And sometimes I feel like, okay, what else? So
Yeah.
there should be a way. I think now I would like to go back in time and help those people, you know, prevent the disease. And I think, you know, what I saw that in our healthcare system and in the US, I think there are a lot of things that we can do, and we can help people from getting a serious illness, from getting a chronic disease.
Yeah, and I love that because I had the same experience, right? Um I knew what I was taught, right? And when I tried to ask for alternative therapies, like it wasn't an option. I had to go outside of the system in order to try to figure that out. I'll never forget I'm on tamoxifen and I was having severe side effects from it. And they kept trying to give me more pills for the side effects. And I remember saying, like, I don't want the pills that I have to take right now. And you keep giving me more. Like, there has to be a natural way for us to go and do this. And that is where I started even more going down that holistic journey of alternative, you know, medicine and down that holistic nutrition path. So I would love to hear from you because you're all about gut health. You know, what is the number one tip that you can give to people, especially in this time of stress that we live in, that can really support them and their health and their gut health?
Absolutely. You know, it's very important. So I think after I went through my treatment, and so I had a better vision, and I tried to work, you know, around my mindset and everything. So I started thinking, Lori, you know, how could I have prevented this from happening? Why did this happen to me? So I was a healthy person. So you remember we were used to go to CrossFit. I was doing 4 years of CrossFit, you know, 4 times a day, heavy workouts, and then running for 10 years and all these, you know, I was doing all these sort of like checking out all these items. But this happened to me. And I think one of the things that just blew my mind as I started researching, contemplating, and just figuring things out was, you know, there were 2 things that I think in my life during the whole my life sort of like increased my risk of getting sort of like, you know, a serious illness. Besides, obviously, I want to acknowledge that this was on breast cancer, and 1 out of 8 women, they end up getting breast cancer. It's pretty common, and it does have a lot with hormonal states and everything. But the role of stress and nutrition, I think, is significant. There are 2 major indicators of health and disease. So the lifestyle that we have, I think during modernization, what happened to us is that we distance ourselves from our natural environment that we were thriving and we were healthy. And for our comfort, we put ourselves through all these automated way of living, sort of like basically modern living, that we don't have, we have a lot of stress. And the way that we eat, you know, the standard American diet or SAD is terrible for your health. You know, now as a gastroenterologist, and, you know, telling you as a gastroenterologist, Yale trained, I didn't really know this the way that I know them right now, because they don't teach you in, you know, in academic situations. You don't go through this. Oh, nutrition is very important. Whatever you put in your mouth is the most important thing, because that is in close contact with your cells. So we don't really think. We think that, oh, I don't have time, I'm busy. You know, you had a busy lifestyle. You were working hard. You know, I was always biting in front of computer 5 minutes as I was between patients, seeing patients, to eat something, whatever I grabbed from cafeteria. And then, you know, as going to CrossFit, then I was under this impression that the high protein diet is just like what healthy people eat, right?
Right.
So just go and do, you know, all these animal proteins. But then it took me some time to figure out with research that basically the healthy diet, you know, meat is inflammatory. So specifically red meat and processed meat, and it's number one carcinogen, processed meat right now, announced by WHO, World Health Organization. So very important, the research that is coming out right now, we are going the direction that adding more plants and fiber to your diet, that's the most important predictor of a healthy diet. That this nourishes your gut microbiome, these microbes that they live in your gut, more than 100 trillion of them. And those microbes have so much power over your health. They are in very close contact and proximity with your immune system. 70% of our immune system resides in our gut. So these microbes, we now are discovering slowly and slowly the role and significance of them in our health and disease. So what I would say, plants are the most important thing. So I don't know if you're familiar with Blue Zones and the work of Dan Butner, that he was from National Geographic, and he basically did all this research for years that he focused on these 5 regions in the world that people live longer. And the number of centennials actually are significantly higher than other parts of the world. And those islands are namely in, I think you're Italian, one of them is in Sardinia. The other one is Greece, Japan. One is surprisingly Loma Linda in California, and the other one is in Nicaragua, I think, if I'm correct. So they saw that their diet, these people, the diet is just basically whole food plant-based. So this is very important, and it's not a fad diet, because we see, you know, the waves come once in a while. We see people go with keto diet, and they go and, you know, count a macro. But whole food plant-based is the diet that our body was designed from a million years. So, you know, we were born to have whole food plant-based diet, and we, you know, got this, that we distanced ourselves from that and ended up in this circumstance that we see all these chronic diseases. And I think they're rooted in diet, going back to where we started, and stress, the stress of modernization that we go through.
Yeah, and I love that you bring this up. I love that you bring this up, because my biggest change from my experience outside of recognizing stress, right? Like I had 4 lesions on my left breast that I didn't feel. My primary care physician that I had saw 2 weeks before, she didn't feel it. And I literally named them because, you know, they say that you have a catalyst 7 to 10 years prior to you recognizing you have a lesion. I was able to pinpoint stressful times in my life, you know, for the sizes of the lesions that I had. You know, and ironically, one of them was Yale, right? As I'm sure you can attest to, it was a really high stress. I mean, medicine is a high stress, especially academic medicine is a high stress environment. It is challenging. There's a lot of demands on you. So like I joke around saying that my largest lesion was named Yale, you know, but besides that, the largest, and no offense, Yale, it's not you, it's me, right? I should have handled it better. But the largest change that I made for myself was going plant-based. That's what I've done. And I am really excited because I've done tons of research. And I would love to share, I'll put a link for people who are interested in finding out some more information where they can contact me. But I've partnered, you know, there's so many products out there. And I just did tons of research, especially because I don't want whey. Like I want 100% plant-based. What's the best thing? You know, life gets busy and we often don't eat what we need to eat. And I can't agree with you more that whole foods is where we should go. But sometimes you can't make that meal. And so for me, I partnered with a company who really believes that and has that as the foundation as well. And they're superfood protein shakes. And it's been game changer for me because I have been able to stay plant-based and also still get the nutrients that I need when I am not able to make the time. Like today, I have a crazy day where, it's just, it's life, and you try to balance it. And sometimes, that's also what I found through this process or this journey, is that you need to make the time to have that balance. Like you have to. And life just pulls you in every direction. It's just like you said, like we are just at a point in society that there's so many expectations. We aren't out in nature as much as we should be. We aren't cognizant of the stressors that we have. And it's so important. So I thank you for bringing that up, because it is one of those things that if anybody hears anything out of this conversation today, is like, pay attention to what you put in your mouth, pay attention to what you digest, because it does have an impact, right? And it's
Exactly.
the other thing that I want to just mention is that, like, people say, well, organic foods and whole foods are so expensive. Well, your first round of chemotherapy is going to be even more expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to pay for it one way or another. So do yourself a favor and try to eat organic as much as you can. Try to eat whole foods, and just, you need some support. We're here. Definitely come and find us. That's for sure. I'm actually in the middle of a nutrition program, right, to become a nutrition coach. So I'm really excited about that. And so this is my wheelhouse now. It's my passion and what I love. So sorry, I digress. Please continue.
No, wonderful. I think I'm just like so excited. I think we pursue a lot of similar goals, and that probably, I think the highlight of that and the most important part of it is that because we had this experience, that we had this health issue, and that made us become curious and go and figure out. And I think it's all about, Lori, as you said, it's just all about going back to basics. It's not really very complicated. It's all about, I tell my clients, it's all about coming back home. It's time, And you brought up a legit point. I talk all the time about this because people, and this is a fact, that obviously healthy food is, pricier. If you go to McDonald's and eat their dollar menu every day, obviously that's much cheaper. And that's, I think, I don't want to get into that. That's another topic of policy and all those things that's happening. Right. But it's all about becoming, I think, curious and asking yourself powerful questions. How can I change this? How can I change my diet? How can I become healthy? Then you start working, putting your brain into work for you that gives you options. One of the things that actually we are planning now to do is that making a planter in our backyard and start just planting some of these vegetables. This is cheap. This is the cheapest you can do. If you have a little bit of space, and you can have organic, you grow organic, home sort of like grown eggplant, basil, you name it, tomato. They taste better, they're cheap, and you can eat whole food plant-based the whole time, right? There are ways to do that. So it's, I know, the argument around this is expensive, this is just luxury and all these things. I don't buy that at this point, because I see a lot of people who really do that on a low budget. And I think there are ways to do that on a low budget.
I mean, I can't agree with you more. We live, in a high rise in the middle of a city. And we have made our own patio garden, right? Nice. I always show this in my stories, and like I follow my pepper plant that's like growing all these peppers, right? And I get really excited about it. But it's like, it's not an excuse. Like if you really want it to happen and you really want to make that change, we're talking about a lifestyle change. We're not talking about a fad diet, right? This is something where you start incorporating, and it doesn't need to be like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be, 100% plant-based. Like you can make this be a very gradual thing for you. And, there's some days where my partner, every now and again, he craves meat, and like he'll have some chicken, and every now and again I'm like, oh, I just want a bite of it, right? It doesn't mean it has to be an end all be all. It means more along the lines of being cognizant of what you're doing. What's your behavior? What's your lifestyle? How are you honoring yourself and your body, really.
Exactly. No, exactly. So, and just you brought up a great point that it's all, it's a journey, it's a process, it's a process of becoming healthier. It's no chastising or just like saying that you have to do this overnight. As you said, once in a while we treat ourselves to meat, we try to pick a healthier meat, but we do that, and that's totally fine. It's not something that doesn't mean that you have to deprive yourself from, everything. And it's very interesting, as for me, I think probably that resonates with you too. I was just like this meat lover. I never thought about this, and the idea was just like so raw for me. But as we started doing this, I don't really crave meat that much at all. I don't miss it that much. It's not something that I say, oh wow, I'm just like, craving it. So it's very interesting because you feel so much better, I think, in your body that you don't want to go back.
Yeah, the one thing that I am having a very hard time letting go of is dairy. Dairy and I, because I love ice cream. So now I've been able to find, for those of you who are looking to make the switch to a plant-based, I personally love oat milk because the texture is good, right? Like it has, like coconut milk doesn't do it for me, and almond milk has this taste that I don't like. So oat milk for me is like game changer. There's so many products now that are available. The one thing that I want to caution people too is like, don't go plant-based and do, all this plant-based derived stuff and then have it be full of chemicals. Exactly. I mean, you're defeating the purpose. So for me, so I actually, what I wanted to do this weekend, it's my birthday weekend, so I wanted to treat myself.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm very excited. I love birthdays to begin with, but especially after this whole thing, like they are just like, watch out world. But I'm going to try, and I'll put it on my stories of making oat milk ice cream. If I can nail this, then I will be able to be dairy free. So I'm really excited about this one.
Wow, that's wonderful. No, I can't agree more with you. This oat milk changed my life too, because I'm a coffee drinker and I want my latte to be sort of like, basically perfect. And I was just stuck. And then I was, I think, back and forth with some of my peers and asking them, the plant-based people, they recommended Oatly, which is amazing. I love this brand. Milk, that changed my life. Saying I'm a cheese lover too. I haven't really found an alternative for that. And I don't want to, because we got some of these processed plant-based cheese and I felt like this is so unhealthy and I don't really know what I'm dealing with. So I thought I just for now stick to my cheese. And I think that's fine. You can just basically create your own thing. I think I say, okay, I'm going to have cheese, not, in excess. So, but once in a while, I want to have my pizza. I love my pizza. So.
Me too. Right. Exactly.
We live in New Haven.
we can't be there and not enjoy pizza. Right. And I can't go, when we go back to Connecticut, like I have to go and have a slice of pizza. Like I have to. It's like sacrilege to not do it.
I miss the pizza.
Me too. But yeah, so I just love what you're up to. And I am just so grateful that you spent the time with us today, and we could chat forever. So please come back. Let's just have another conversation. But I would love to have people find you. So where can people find you?
No, thanks so much for having me. It was a great, conversation, and for sure, I would love to come back. So for people, if they're interested in what I'm doing, so I'm creating a lot of programs, as I briefly mentioned, and the focus of those programs is mainly prevention. I love working with women, professional women, and it's Lori. The whole thing is that I think this. Fire is right now in me that I want to show people, the things that I know, and just basically get them the knowledge before they get sick, before they want to just basically, before they face with this adversity, to figure out now what the next step is. Or even for people who are cancer survivors or have chronic diseases, and they want to stay healthy.
Yeah.
I should be honest, I still have this dread all the time that I say, what if my cancer comes back? What if
we
I
all do.
develop, I know, what if I develop a different cancer? So what happens? So, but I want to show people that there's still a lot of things that we can control. Yes, there are things out of our control out there, but there are a lot of things we can control in terms of our mind and body, our mind and body and gut microbiome. They are in connection.
Yeah.
They are in fact part of a whole. So that's how I work with clients, just like to help them from becoming sick, becoming to that point with basically mindset work, with optimizing their mental fitness and physical and gut health. People who are interested, they can find me on Instagram under a handle. My handle is mindgutfitmd. And also my website is www.mindgutfitmd.com. And I'm planning to launch my first program actually in October. So I'm very excited. It's going to be a combination of what we talked about, a combination of basically gut health, mental fitness, how to basically work on our mindset, how to deal with stress together with diet, and how we can optimize our health in a holistic way. That
you're speaking my language. You're speaking my language. I'm in love. I'm in love.
I know, that's why we are here talking, right?
I love it. I love it. So I'll make sure to have all your handles, all your information. Please look in the bio, folks. And just thank you so much for taking the time today.
Of course. Thanks so much, Lori.